like to do now is sort of walk through some of the critical questions that you need to be asking yourself in relation to, hiring an experienced SEO. All right. So what does an experienced SEO company do differently? Well, the first thing I'm going to say is that an experienced SEO company should have a comprehensive approach. And what I mean by that is that I usually like to think about 6 critical areas that they should focus on. The first one is setup. You got to make sure that your website is airtight, but that it's also connected to Google in a way so that we have Google Analytics connected, Google Search Console connected, and that we've done a lot of the technical parts of SEO that are built onto your website. And what I mean by that is that there's things like schema code, and there's other things related to robots.txt files. There's all this like nerd level setup that has to be done to make sure that your SEO is firing on all cylinders. And if you don't do these steps, these technical SEO steps, in the long run, you're really going to lose. And I really believe that Google dings you for that. Step number 2 is that you got to clean up. And what I mean by that is that you have to go into your website and you have to re-optimize your title tags, your URLs, structure your content effectively so that Google can understand it. I like to be in a scenario here, even though that Google is the super brain or the super mind, I like to make sure that our approach doesn't make Google think, because the more we have to stretch Google, the less likely they are going to be to index or rank your content, right? The next portion of this is I'm going to say you got to set goals. And so when I talk with my clients, we have to figure out how many sessions or how many visits have to come to your website and how does it compare to your goals? How many leads do you have to generate from your traffic and how does it compare to your goals? And then what is your conversion ratio so that I can figure out the entire ROI model based upon how I develop SEO for qualified traffic. All right. Other things in this process are you got to develop a content strategy. This is number 4. A content strategy, the number 1 thing you want to do is you want to develop an editorial calendar so that you can go from being a reactive marketing company to a proactive marketing company that consistently puts out more and more content and establishes you as a thought leader. Those are going to generate backlinks, which are going to be essential to your ranking. And that next thing that I'm talking about, number 5, is backlinking. Essentially, backlinking is trying to identify high authority websites that are going to find your website, find the value in your website, and then are going to link from those high value websites back to your website. Number 6 is I need to know, are you serving a local clientele? Because if you are, I'm going to have to make adjustments to your website for local SEO. Are you serving more of an organic or national market or even international market? I need to know that. And then I also need to know how video is going to play in and content's going to play in. So when I'm thinking about SEO, I'm thinking about local SEO, organic SEO, video SEO, mobile SEO, and content-based SEO. And then finally, analytics. When I'm talking about analytics, I'm not talking about just basic Google Analytics. I need to be able to know the critical things that are happening on your website that deal with conversion. I need to know what keywords are ranking. I need to know which keywords are on page 5 and they're going to basically start to work their way up to page 1. There's critical things from an analytical perspective that you're always turning the dial to figure out what's working and what's not. We're always A/B testing. We develop content. If it sticks, we start to re-optimize that content to make it better and better. If it doesn't stick, we have to go back to the drawing board and figure out why it's not working. We have to figure out what keywords are on page 3 or page 2, and what do we got to do to get them to page 1.